trapped bird. Jack's voice suddenly came to her. "Remember when a pair of crows fell down our chimney? Lucky the fire wasn't on." Emboldened by Jack's internal reminder, Karen decided to check out the fireplace. It was at that moment she had the strong sense she was being watched. The feeling was so powerful, it stopped Karen in her tracks. Someone or something was in there with her. Forcing herself to turn, she found a pair of beady black eyes glaring at her from the back of the sofa. The image of the crow was as threatening as in her earlier memory, and the resulting scream froze in Karen's throat. "Okay," she tried to reason, her heart pounding her chest so hard that she could scarcely breathe. Jack had been right. A bird had fallen down the chimney, and that bird just happened to be a crow. She turned back to the window and, releasing the lock, pushed it wide open. She would need to find a way to shoo the crow out, that was all. It was then the cat appeared around the side of the house to cross the drive in front of her. Big-bodied, jet black, with a white splash on its chest. There was no doubt it was Toby. Stunned, she released the window, and it immediately shut with a bang. Expecting the noise to startle the crow into cawing, she turned to find the bird no longer there. In that moment, Karen knew the reason for the torrent of memories. The images of white dresses, the appearance of the black crow, and the sighting of her dead cat, Toby. It was all about Mary. It had to be. Chapter 2. The resurfacing of memories, the imagined crow and the vision of Toby marching across her path, had all happened for a reason. What that reason was, Karen had no idea. If Jack had been here, he would have made sense of it all. As she started up the loft ladder, the pain of his loss gripped Karen, and she had to wait until she could draw air into her lungs before she continued her ascent. She'd never expected to be a widow. She'd always presumed she would be the first to go. Jack's father had lived into his 90s, faculties intact. His mother had preceded her husband by only a few months. As for her own parents, they hadn't been so lucky. Dust motes, disturbed by her entry, danced before her as she made her way to the box near the leftmost skylight. Jack, in his tidy manner, had labelled the box Karen, Miscellaneous, and dated it with the year she left home. As such, it had seemed a suitable resting place for what she now sought. Having extracted it, she headed back down to the kitchen, at which point she put the kettle on and made a pot of tea. In past times, during Jack's illness and after his death, when anxiety had beset her, she would have sought refuge in a glass of wine. Not anymore. Settling herself beside the range, mug of tea alongside, Karen opened the old-school jotter, hoping whatever was in there hadn't faded with time. She had written a diary in pencil. In the lead-up to that day, the entries were brief, like "Practice spelling for test tomorrow," and "Stephen fancies Mary. He sent her a love letter in class." Everything changed on the first day of May. For a moment, Karen was back in her old bedroom, sitting at the desk by the window. The street she'd lived in had houses on one side only. On the other side were two newly built primary schools, one for Catholics, the other for Protestants. The school grounds were separated by an area of open land and a small wood. "That's where we built our den." The road outside her house was steep and mostly empty of cars. A few delivery vans drove up and down, an ice cream van, a rag and bone cart. We played in the street all the time, until that day. It was so long ago. How could she possibly remember what she'd felt like back then? Yet she could. As Karen read the words she'd written, the horror of that day, so long buried, rose up to engulf her. Diary entry of Karen Marshall, age 11, 1st of May 1975.